Jack was the only human in the alien academy. He didn't belong there, but Sarala had insisted he stay. She was an alien girl, tall, with glowing purple eyes and soft green skin, and she had always treated Jack like he was special. Jack didn't think he was special. He was just Jack, a human boy far from home, surrounded by aliens who spoke in clicks and tones. He couldn't fly ships. He couldn't use telepathy. He didn't have claws, wings, or even glowing eyes. But Sarala liked him. One day, Sarala brought him to her family's vault. It was deep underground, hidden behind walls made of black stone and starlight. She waved her hand and the walls opened. Inside there were weapons, scrolls, strange crystals, and armor. The armor stood in the center, tall, dark, shining. It looked like it was made of metal and energy, with long, sharp edges and glowing lines running down the chest and arms. "This belonged to my ancestor," Sarala said proudly. "The first warlord? He ruled 10,000 worlds?" Jack stepped back. "It looks alive," Sarala laughed. "It kind of is. But don't worry, only my family can wear it. It's bound by blood." She walked over to the armor, tapped its chest, and said, "See? Nothing happens?" Then she turned to Jack with a playful smile. "Come on, just try it," she teased. "Let's see what happens." "It'll be funny," Jack laughed nervously. "You sure?" "It's a joke, Jack. It won't even move." He stepped forward, slowly, unsure. The moment his fingers touched the armor, it moved. The chest plate split open with a hiss. Floating pieces lifted into the air and started spinning around him. Jack screamed and tried to back away, but it was too late. The armor wrapped around him like a living creature. It locked onto his body, perfectly. The whole room began to shake. "Sarala!" Jack shouted. Sarala stared, mouth open, eyes wide. This shouldn't be possible." Light poured from the armor, red and gold. Symbols appeared in the air, old alien letters no one had seen for ages. The scrolls around the room caught fire. The hidden crystal cracked and exploded. Then something else happened, deep below the planet's surface. A beacon lit up. Hundreds of miles away, ancient machines started to wake. Jack fell to his knees. The armor pulsed. He could feel it, inside his mind. "Who? Who are you?" he whispered. Sarala stepped back. Her hands trembled. "Jack, I was joking. It wasn't supposed to choose you. It only responds to blood, royal blood." Jack looked down at his hands. They glowed through the metal. "I don't understand." Alarms started to ring across the vault. A robotic voice echoed in ancient language. Lineage confirmed. "Royal line active. Warlord return acknowledged." Sarala gasped. "You activated the throne signal." The walls opened again, this time not by Sarala's hand. Elders entered the chamber. Old aliens with long robes, silver horns, and eyes like galaxies. They saw Jack. They saw the armor. And they all dropped to one knee. "No," one whispered. "The prophecy?" Jack shook his head. "I'm not who you think I am. I'm just a human." But the armor disagreed. It sent another pulse this time, across the stars, far away, hidden deep in space. Something ancient heard the call. A forgotten enemy opened its eyes. That night, Jack sat alone in the vault, still wearing the armor. Sarala didn't say a word. For hours, finally, she whispered, "My people will want answers. Some may want to worship you. Others may want you dead." Jack looked at her. "But I'm your friend, right?" Sarala nodded. But she didn't smile. "I made a joke, Jack, but it turned out you're no joke at all." From that moment, everything changed. Jack was no longer just a human at the academy. He was something more, something ancient. And the galaxy had felt it. Jack couldn't sleep. Even with the lights off and the room quiet, he felt it. The armor wasn't just metal, it was alive. It whispered, not with words, but with memories. Memories that didn't belong to him. He saw cities floating in the sky. He felt the ground rumble under marching armies. He heard people chanting a name, his name, but in a language he'd never spoken. He sat up, heart pounding. "This isn't a dream," he whispered. "It's history." Earlier that day, the alien elders had tested his blood. They didn't believe the armor could bind to a human. But the results shook the entire academy. One elder, tall and stern, held the glowing vial in shaking hands. "This is impossible," he said. "The markers, they match the first warlord." Jack frowned. "What does that mean?" The elder looked at him slowly. "You carry royal blood, human. You are not just wearing the armor. You have the right to rule." Sarala stepped forward. "But he's not one of us. He's human," another elder spoke. "The first warlord disappeared long ago. Some say he left the galaxy. What if he didn't?" They all looked at Jack like he was something ancient, something dangerous. He didn't like it. "I'm not your warlord," Jack said. "I don't want a throne. I just want to go home." But Sarala's face was pale. She knew something. And she wasn't telling. Later, Sarala led Jack to a quiet garden near the starlight. Pools. She didn't speak for a while. Then she said softly, "There was a story my mother told me when I was small, about a man with golden eyes who wore the living armor and disappeared across the stars." Jack looked at her. "What happened to him? No one knows," she said. "But he didn't die. The legend says he left something behind. A child. Hidden." Jack blinked. "You think that's me?" Sarala didn't answer. Instead, she looked into his eyes. "You're changing, Jack. Your voice, the way you move. Even the machines bow to you." Jack laughed nervously. "Yeah, that's not creepy at all." But inside, he felt it too. He had started hearing machines before they made noise. He could open doors without touching them. Even the stars felt closer. As they walked back, Sarala whispered something strange. "You may be human by birth, Jack, but something in you isn't a..." That night, as Jack lay back down, the armor pulsed again. This time, he didn't resist. He let it show him. He saw a memory clear as day. An alien man stood in the same armor, standing over a battlefield. His eyes were golden, his voice thundered. Across 10 worlds, beside him stood a human woman. She was smiling, holding his hand. The alien warlord kissed her forehead and whispered, "Our child will unite the stars." The memory faded. Jack gasped. "No way. Was that his mother?" The next morning, Jack woke up to a strange sight. The Academy's great AI. A system older than the Academy itself had unlocked an ancient chamber for Jack. Inside were statues of the first warlord, scrolls, maps, a sword of light, and one message glowing on the wall: "Blood returns. Destiny awakens?" Sarala stood behind Jack in silence. "Do you still want to go home?" she asked quietly. Jack didn't answer, because part of him was beginning to remember things he never lived. Meanwhile, far beyond their planet, the signal had reached others. An enemy race, once defeated by the first warlord, received the alert. A general hissed in his throne made of bone and ash. "The blood has returned," he growled. "Begin the hunt." Back on the Academy world, Jack stood before the ancient sword. It rose into his hand as if it had been waiting forever. His human heart pounded in his chest, but his blood whispered, "You are more than human now." And soon the galaxy would know it too. Far away, in a part of the galaxy where no light had touched for thousands of years, something ancient opened its eyes. A cold, black moon began to shake. Metal bones cracked. Frozen armies began to move. In the center of that dark world, an alien queen sat inside a throne made of skulls and broken stars. Her name was Vekra the Endsinger, and she had been waiting. One of her shadow creatures hissed, "A signal. Has been received." Vekra smiled slowly. "The armor lives again?" "Yes, my queen, a human wears it." She stood, her long claws glowing red. "No, not just a human, his blood." She looked up. "Ready the death fleet, the warlord's heir must not survive." Back on the Academy planet, Jack had no idea that monsters were coming. He stood outside in the cold night air, staring at the stars. The armor felt lighter now, like it had accepted him, but that was the problem. He hadn't accepted it. "I don't want to fight," Jack said to Sarala, who stood beside him, "but you might not have a choice," she whispered. The sky shimmered above them. Sarala pointed. "That's a military warning satellite." "It just lit up red," Jack frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means someone's coming, someone dangerous." Inside the Academy's war hall, the elders had gathered. The room buzzed with tension. Maps floated in the air. One elder pointed at a red dot blinking fast. That world hasn't blinked in 5,000 years. Only one kind of signal can wake it, enemy blood recognition. Another elder looked at Jack. Your armor called them. They remember what it did to their kind. Jack's voice was quiet. Who are they? Vekra's brood, said the oldest elder, voice shaking. Nightborn creatures. They eat suns, drink planets dry. Jack swallowed hard. And now they're coming for me? Not just you, Sarala said. For the throne, for revenge. The next day, everything changed. A scout ship sent to the edge of the system didn't come back. Then another, finally. One ship limped home damaged, burned, pilot half dead. He managed one word before collapsing. Vekra. Panic spread, ships prepared for war, shields powered up. Students were evacuated, but Jack stayed. He couldn't run. The armor wouldn't let him. It whispered, stand. That night, the Academy fell silent. Everyone was waiting for the first attack. Jack couldn't sleep again, this time. The armor showed him a battlefield from long ago. He stood on a mountain, holding a sword of pure light. Alien enemies crawled up the rocks, hundreds, thousands of them. Behind him were soldiers wearing the same armor. Kneeling, the first warlord raised his hand and shouted something in that strange language again. We do not run. We are the end of fear. Jack gasped and woke up, sweating. Why are you showing me this? He whispered. The armor pulsed once, then from outside. A boom shook the sky. Jack ran out. Above the planet, dozens of ships had arrived, sharp, black. Like thorns floating in space. Sirala appeared next to him, breath fast. They're here. Jack looked at the glowing clouds of warships. They remember me, he said softly. Or they remember him, Sarala nodded. They'll try to erase you, Jack, because your blood scares them. Jack stared at his own hands. But I'm just a human. Sarala stepped closer. Not anymore? In Vekra's command ship? The Queen hissed in delight. There he is, she whispered, watching Jack's image on her screen. The child of my oldest enemy. She raised a claw and gave the order. Burn the Academy to ash. Back on the ground, Jack turned as the first missile dropped from the sky. Everything slowed down, but the armor didn't. It wrapped around him. Activated strange lights and pulled up energy shields around the school. He didn't do it. The armor did. It had chosen war, and Jack was about to find out what kind of weapon he had. Truly become *. Jack woke up screaming, but he wasn't in his bed. He was standing, floating inside a chamber of light. The walls around him were not real. They were made of data, of stars, of time itself. In front of him stood a ghost. It looked like him, but older, taller, eyes like burning gold, voice like thunder. You are not ready, the ghost said. Jack swallowed hard. Ready for what? To be me. Then everything turned to fire. Jack snapped awake, gasping for breath. He was back in the Academy now, lying on the training floor. His armor was glowing, steaming from the edges. Around him, robotic drones lay scattered, crushed, sliced, blasted. Elder Ron stood above him, wide-eyed. You fought in your sleep. Sarala rushed over. Jack, are you okay? Jack looked. At his hands, they were shaking, but not from fear. From power. I didn't move, he whispered. The armor. It trained me. In my mind, Elder Ron knelt beside him. The living armor doesn't just protect, it remembers. It teaches. Jack stared into the empty air. It showed me battles. But from the warlord's view, the elder nodded. It is awakening your blood. You are becoming him. Over the next days, Jack stopped being the normal human. He no longer needed food. He could run faster than any alien soldier. He could crush metal with his grip. And his mind, he began reading alien scripts that once confused him. In his dreams, ancient warriors came to him showing sword forms, strategies and control of energy fields. When he woke, he could perform them without thinking. The other students watched from afar, some with awe, others with fear. Even Sarala had changed. She smiled less, spoke carefully, kept her distance. Don't look at me like I'm a monster, Jack told her one evening. I'm not, she said softly. But you're not the same Jack anymore. The armor began building something. When Jack touched the academy walls, symbols appeared. Machines responded. He didn't understand it all, but the armor did. It remembered technologies that were thought lost. One night he walked into the old hangar, and there, in silence, the ground split open. A giant ship rose from beneath the academy. It looked like no ship Sarala had ever seen. It responds to your heartbeat, she said. Jack touched the control panel. It HUBD. But power came with pain. One night during training, the armor suddenly locked Jack's body, freezing him inside his mind. The ghost returned. You're still too soft, it said. Jack shouted. I don't want to become a killer. The ghost stepped forward. Then you will die. And your friends will die, because mercy is a dream. The galaxy only speaks one language, domination, Jack roared. I'm not you. The ghost stared. Then vanished. Jack awoke covered in sweat. But something had changed. His voice was deeper. His eyes glowed faintly gold, and the armor no longer whispered. Now it obeyed. The elders called a meeting. Vecra's fleets are gathering, said one. She's preparing for full war. Jack is not ready, said another. He may never be. But Jack entered the chamber before they finished. I am ready, he said. They stared. Even the walls reacted, glowing behind him like a king had entered. Give me warriors. Give me ships, Jack said, or get out of my way. The room fell silent. For the first time in centuries, the academy bowed to a human. Outside, Sarala watched him walk by, tall, armored, glowing with strength. He stopped and looked at her. You still believe in me? He asked. Sarala gave a sad smile. I don't know if I believe in the you that's coming. Jack looked to the stars. Then let's hope I never forget the me I was. In deep space, Vecra felt a new tremor. She turned to her generals and hissed, he grows stronger. A nearby planet exploded. Then we strike before he becomes a god. The mountain whispered his name, not with words, but with pressure, with echoes. With vibrations under the stone. Jack stood at the base of the ancient peak. No path, no gate. Just a wall of smooth obsidian rock that had never been climbed. Until now, the armor responded. Its chest pulsed. The stone split open like the mountain had been waiting for him. Behind him, Sarala gasped. No one, in 10,000 years, has opened that. Jack stepped forward. A mountain swallowed him. Inside, time forgot to move. Light came from crystals in the ceiling, floating like frozen stars. Dust had no place here. Everything was preserved, untouched, ancient. A long hallway stretched forward. Walls carved with war scenes. Battles against creatures Jack had never seen. At the end, a throne, not a chair, not a symbol. At the throne, it floated above the ground, surrounded by rings of metal, energy, and pulsing light. Behind it, a star map of the entire galaxy, glowing and alive. And beneath the throne, carved into the very floor, was a single name. Kelra, the first warlord. Jack's knees went weak. Sarala stepped beside him, reading the ancient script. That's your ancestor. Jack didn't speak. He couldn't. The armor moved him forward. On its own, as he approached the throne, everything began to change. Statues lining the hall turned toward him. Not mechanically, willingly. The ancient AI awoke. A voice filled the chamber. Lineage confirmed. Royal key present. Welcome home, heir of the throne. Energy surged across the walls. The throne glowed brighter. Jack turned to Sarala, fear in his voice. I didn't come here to rule anything. But the AI ignored him, initiating mind link, uploading ancestral memory. The armor locked Jack's feet to the floor. And then it began. A blast of visions rushed through his mind. He saw Kelra, the first warlord, once again. Not in dreams, but clearly. As if he were inside him, he saw how Kelra had united planets, stopped wars, freed slaves, and built peace using fear and fire. He saw betrayal. He saw love. He saw a child, a woman hidden away on a distant blue planet, Earth. Your blood has always belonged to the stars, the memory whispered back. In the chamber, Jack collapsed to his knees. Sarala rushed to him. Jack, say something. He looked up slowly. His eyes were gold. I remember all of it. Sarala's voice shook. Then you know what comes next. Jack nodded. The throne pulsed. It was his, but he didn't sit yet. He turned to Sarala. I need to know something. What? My mother, was she one of yours? Sarala hesitated, then slowly nodded. She was hidden among humans to keep the bloodline safe. You were never meant to awaken. Jack's voice was hollow. But the galaxy forced me to. Outside the mountain, the skies darkened. Massive ships began to appear in orbit. Vecra's vanguard fleet. A deep sound echoed across the clouds. Drums of war. Inside the chamber, the AI gave one final message. Your throne awaits. The Empire will answer only to you. Sit. Or fall. Jack walked toward the throne. Each step echoed like a hammer. He turned one last time to look at Sarala. Will you still follow me if I become more than human? Sarala's eyes were wet with fear and something else. Hope. She bowed her head. I already do. Jack sat. The throne fused to his back. The map of the galaxy lit up. Old alliances reconnected. Forgotten armies reactivated. Ships long buried began to rise. And from 1,000 worlds, hidden guardians spoke in unison. The warlord has returned. Vecra, watching from her flagship, snarled. He has taken the throne. She turned to her generals. Then we kill the throne itself. Asterisk light broke the sky, not sunlight, firelight. A wave of plasma explosions lit up the horizon like a second dawn. Ships rained from orbit like falling stars. The war had begun. And on the mountain's peak, the throne burned with energy. Jack stood tall in his armor, eyes glowing, sword in hand, watching the end of peace arrive. They're here, he said, voice calm. Beside him, Sarala held her weapon smaller, but burning with courage. She looked up at the black sky, dozens of ships, hundreds, thousands. Vecra hadn't sent an army. She'd sent a galaxy-killing swarm. In orbit, Queen Vecra hissed in joy. Deploy everything. Burn the planet. Leave nothing standing except the armor. I want it torn from his corpse. Her fleet moved in silence. No signals, no warnings. Only destruction. Back on the surface, the Academy defenses activated. Towers rose. Cannons charged. Mechs awoke from sleep. But everyone knew this wasn't a fight for survival. This was a fight for legacy. Jack descended from the mountain throne. Not alone. Behind him marched the awakened army machines and guardians who had been sleeping for millennia, now reactivated by his bloodline. Each one carried weapons from an age of forgotten power. Aliens bowed. Humans gasped. Jack raised his hand. The army stopped. Today, he said, we fight not to rule, but to protect what they want to erase. His voice echoed. The armor amplified it across the skies. We fight with blood, with light, and we do not kneel. The first wave of enemy ships breached the sky. Massive creatures, made of bone and black metal, dropped from orbit like meteors. They landed with quakes, ripping through buildings. Jack met them head-on with a single slash. He tore one in half. Sarala and the Academy warriors followed, unleashing weapons older than time itself. The battlefield became chaos. Light versus shadow. Jack moved like fire. His armor predicted every strike, every enemy path, but they kept coming. In space, Vecra watched closely. She saw Jack tear through her generals. She saw his army winning, even outnumbered. Her eye twitched. Send the planet breaker, she growled. A massive shadow emerged behind her fleet. It was not a ship. It was a world eater, an ancient weapon banned by galactic law. Even Sarala's eyes widened as it appeared in the sky like a second moon. That thing. It's alive. Back in the throne room, the AI flickered. Warning, planetary destruction weapon detected. Solution, full armor release required. Jack felt the armor shift. New parts emerged, wings of energy, a crown of light, claws that could slice ships, but there was a cost. Warning, full release will damage human core. Fatality possible? Jack hesitated. Sarala grabbed his hand. Don't die, she whispered. He looked at her and smiled. If I do, it'll be as someone who fought for all of us. Jack activated full release. The armor screamed. Power surged. Like a star exploding, the ground cracked beneath him. A beam of light shot into the sky as Jack took flight, his wings burning, His voice like thunder, he flew into space. Straight at the planet breaker, inside the weapon. Vecra watched in shock. He's... "Come in here," she shouted. "Shoot him down." Cannons fired. Energy storms raged. Jack cut through them like a knife. Through fog, he landed inside the enemy's core chamber. Vecra stood before him. Face to face at last. She grinned. "You look just like him." Jack raised his sword. "You'll never get the throne," Vecra laughed. "I don't want the throne. I want to destroy it so no one like you ever rises again." She lunged. They fought. Steel, claws, light, screams. The throne's heir versus the galaxy's nightmare. Back on the surface, the skies turned red. Explosions spread. Sarala watched with tears in her eyes. "He's not coming back, is he?" "Number one," answered but then a bright flash. A wave of golden white light. Every enemy ship in orbit shut down. The World Eater shattered into dust. And from that dust, he fell. Jack burned, bleeding, alive. The armor was cracked. But his heart still beat. Sarala ran to him, catching him before he hit the ground. He opened one eye and smiled. "I told you. I'm hard to kill." The war was over, but the sky still wept light. Shattered pieces of alien ships burned across the horizon like dying stars. Smoke curled around the Academy's mountains. And in the silence after victory, one heartbeat remained. Jack's. He lay in Sarala's arms at the foot of the mountain where it all began. His armor cracked, his body bruised, his mind heavy, but he was alive. Sarala pressed her forehead against his. "You did it," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You really did it." Jack smiled faintly, barely. The throne chamber had changed. No longer cold and ancient, it was now alive with golden vines of light. The galaxy map pulsed gently, connected to thousands of worlds once forgotten, but Jack hadn't sat on the throne again. Not yet. The elders gathered days later. Alien leaders, soldiers, scholars, even former enemies. They all came to see him, the human who ended a nightmare. The one who wore the armor of legends? They asked for orders, for laws, for rule, but Jack gave them silence. He stood before the throne with Sarala at his side and said, "What if I don't want to be a king?" The crowd went still. A brave voice spoke from the back. "You already are, whether you sit or not." That night under the twin moons, Sarala found Jack alone by the glowing pool. The same place where they once joked and laughed before destiny arrived. She sat beside him. "Everyone expects you to become a god now," she said quietly. Jack laughed. Under his breath, "Let them down gently, will you?" They sat in silence for a long time. Then Sarala spoke again, soft, almost afraid. "My mother once told me, if the armor ever awakened, the bloodline could bind not only power, but hearts." Jack turned to her. "What does that mean?" She took something from her pocket, a bind-stone. Ancient, glowing, alive. "I want you to have this," she whispered. "Not because you're a warlord, but because you're still Jack." His hands trembled as he took it. The bindstone flared with light. It accepted him. Their bond was sealed not by blood, not by armor, but by choice. As dawn rose, the throne itself responded. It lowered, revealing a hidden chamber beneath. Inside, a crystal memory core. Jack stepped in alone, and inside it was the truth, a final message from Kelra, the first warlord. "My bloodline will awaken in the time of greatest need. But let it be guided by kindness, not fear, rule with a heart. Or let the stars fall again." Jack closed his eyes. "I understand now." He returned to the crowd the next day. Thousands waited. The throne glowed behind him. He raised his voice not as a warlord, but as a man. The galaxy doesn't need a conqueror. It needs protectors. He held Sarala's hand as he spoke. "I will not rule alone. We will lead together. Not as rulers of people, but as guardians of peace." And the crowd erupted not with fear, but with hope. Years later, stories were told across stars. Of a human boy who became a legend. Of the alien girl who gave him the armor as a joke, and stayed to share his heart. Of the throne that once demanded blood, but was finally ruled by love and the armor. It stayed with Jack, but It never spoke again, because it no longer needed to, its purpose had been fulfilled.